Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast. Your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Marvel Mondays here on the Stuff and Things podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss Shang Chi, it's my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
We are back.
We are back. And I enjoy Marvel Mondays. Marvel Mondays is always fun for us. We're hoping to do Marvel Mondays now going forward. There's a lot of content out there, which is good. The cunning plan as it is. This is the cunning plan as it is. Today we're going to be talking about Shang Chi, the film that I called Shang Chi until I actually watched it. Then next week you will have an episode of What If Season 1, just like a review of the show and what we thought, and thoughts going forward, because a Season 2 has been announced for that show. We will then do a week-by-week breakdown of Hawkeye, which is debuting and showing on Disney Plus exclusively. Really looking forward to that, because that should be fun. It looks a fun show.
It genuinely looks like their take on like the Die Hard movies.
Like the
set at Christmas, bit of fun in it as well.
Yeah. Someone said that, me and you, right? We looked at that trailer, loads of action set at Christmas, Die Hard. Yeah?
Yep.
One of my mates messaged me, went, yeah, this looks really Christmassy, like Jingle All the Way. I'm like, get out. Don't talk to me again. Don't come near me. What are you doing?
He had a chance
Jingle
and he
all
failed.
The way. Jingle all the way. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to do that. And by the time Hawkeye's finished, we will be discussing the latest big MCU film, which is The Eternals. Now, we tend to talk about the films once they've hit Disney Plus and DVD release, because that gives everyone as much time as humanly possible to have seen it, and therefore gives us a greater audience to listen to us break it down.
Yes.
But yeah, going back to it then, Shang-Chi. Now, the first thing I want to discuss is pronunciation. I'm from a place in England called Bristol, and it is well known that I butcher names.
I mean, we're lucky the listeners can understand you at all, to be fair. So.
To be honest, yes, it is very lucky.
Took me months, guys, don't worry, it's fine.
Months, years, man. I still, if I talk quickly after a few beers, people just look at me like, yeah, okay, pirate, farmer, dude. But yeah, so I've been calling this film Shang-Chi non-stop. It's spelled S-H-A-N-G. To me, that's Shang.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Essex, which has its own sort of, whole background for people on television, which we are not like this.
No.
However, yeah, that's Shang.
How were you... Yeah, were you saying it the same as me then? You were saying it's Shang-Chi, but...
I'm currently helping teach a 6-year-old to read her phonetics and stuff, yeah? That is Sh-A-N-G. Shang.
Exactly, yeah. No, I'm with you, man. It's interesting. I actually quite like stuff like that. I quite like learning. Okay, that's how you should say it, right? Brilliant, Because the other thing I noticed in the film, because obviously there's a lot of the film that's got subtitles, and one of the things I noticed is later in the film, Shang-Chi actually has XI in front of it as well. And I was like, oh, hang on, now you've really lost me, because I've got no idea how to say that at all. Yeah. And his sister is spelled X-I-A-L-I-N-G, but it's pronounced Shaling.
Yeah.
I had to look that up. I found a YouTube video, a great guy, a Chinese-American guy, who basically serviced to the world. Here you go, let me help you, English-speaking folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I did actually comment just like I do a podcast. This was really helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Because I haven't said her name once.
Okay, Shaling.
Shaling.
Yeah. I would just want to put it out there, by the way, if I'm getting this wrong, I apologise. It's just me making an effort to try. But yeah, if I am getting it wrong and you know I'm wrong, drop me a message and then do me a recording. This is how you should say it, you dork.
I'm going to stick to the names I can pronounce, like Katie, Trevor.
Yeah, definitely.
Razor Fist, Death Dealer, those guys. I'll stick with their names.
Yeah, so I got Shang Chi. His father was Wenwu.
Yep.
Mother was Yingli.
Yep.
Sister was Xialing.
Yep.
And the mystical village was called Talo.
Talo, yes.
Yeah, see? Come on.
Well played. Well played.
The only thing I didn't write down, and I know my daughter would batter me for this, is I didn't write down the name of Trevor's pet.
That is... Oh, give me a second.
Right, you work on that. I'll kick us off. Tell me when you're ready with it. But the first thing I want to talk about is the obvious tie-in with the Ten Rings, the Mandarin, Trevor Slattery.
Yes.
When you saw Shang-Chi advertised, to me it was like, this looks like a really fun martial arts sort of epic.
Yeah.
How's it going to tie in? You know, my brain's like, how's it going to tie in? But because I've been watching the MCU for a long time now, like most people have, I remember when the Guardians of the Galaxy was announced. And I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of this. How is them being out in the galaxy going to ever possibly tie in to what we're doing? And like literally the first scene of that film was like Peter being abducted from Earth, you know? And it was like, oh, okay, right.
That's
so
true,
one of them's from Earth. And then straight away you've got this kind of story, and then over across the whole thing it links in quite beautifully, you know, with the Infinity Stones, etc. But it just kind of, you could watch Guardians of the Galaxy on its own as a fun film, and you can watch it as part of the MCU, and it all links, you know, it's all there, everything's there. And I feel the same way about Shang-Chi. Like, I feel like I could watch that film and just enjoy a martial arts epic, you know, like real grandeur kind of, almost kind of like over the top kind of action, but that's great, that is the genre. But then at the same time, it just ties in as well, like perfectly, seamlessly. Did you find the name?
I have. It's Morris.
Morris, what a...
Its name is Hundun in Chinese, but Trevor just calls him Morris.
Morris. I have to find a plushie Morris for my daughter for Christmas.
They are out there, my friend.
I know. I found one yesterday.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase it. I need to find a cheaper plushie Morris for my daughter for Christmas.
Yeah, I bet they're not. They're not going to be a cheap one, are they?
No, Disney mind don't miss a trick, do they? I mean, like, you put
this thing's kind of cute. £50.
Yeah, but they're like putting together this film, and you almost know, like, arrive at the village, meet the villagers, and someone at Disney watches the first draft and goes, this is brilliant, and I love everything you've done. What I want you to do is add mystical creatures. Why would you want us to do that? That'll bump the CGI budget. Trust me, dude.
They've already got people making creatures. The toys.
Yeah, and these are the designs we have in mind. We've already made 40 million of them to sell worldwide. Yeah. Get it done, people.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about the Disney machine. But yeah, like I said, the tie-in with the Ten Rings, the Mandarin, Trevor Slattery. There's a scene in the film where Wenwu basically like berates America. You know, some American took my symbol and created, like, named after a... I think he named after an orange dish.
Yeah.
Just absolutely slates him. Anyone who, a lot of people possibly missed it, of course, because it's a Disney Plus exclusive. But there is a short, which is Trevor Slattery is in prison.
All hail the king.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Well done, man. And it's on Disney Plus. So if you haven't, I mean, if you've not seen Shang-Chi yet, you shouldn't be listening to this. But if you haven't seen that, it's still worth having a look.
It's something that helps tie it in quite nicely, because I know a couple of people that watched Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And I don't get why that Trevor bloke's in it from Iron Man. Like, why is he? What's he doing? I was like, look, go on to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Watch All Hail the King, then come back to me.
Yeah.
And like a week passed, and then I suddenly got a message going, yeah, right, fair play. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So basically, he is in prison. He's been jailed, obviously, for what he did in Iron Man 3, pretending to be this terrorist known as the Mandarin. And basically brought, as Wenwu says in the film, brought America to its knees. Iron Man 3, they took out Brody, they took out Air Force One,
Oh, yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah, they really, really did a good job.
And then the guy who made the symbol turns around like,
yeah.
That's my stuff.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of great. So, one of the things I wrote down as well, so that's the tie-in, obviously, into the MCU, quite solid, and Trevor has a few scenes which we'll come on to, but one of the things right at the start of the film, which I think a lot of people are just going to brush over, is the origin of the 10 rings.
Mm-hmm.
So, Wenwu had them for 1,000 years, I think they've said, like a few times throughout the film, but right at the very beginning, they discuss where he got them from, and one of the things, like, in legend it said this, or maybe this, but one of them was he took them out of, like, a meteor, like a crater.
Yep.
Don't you think that, I mean, if you're thinking of how things happen in the MCU and stuff like that...
Thor.
Well, Vibranium, Wakanda, the whole meteorite striking Wakanda, and, Vibranium being amongst it and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you've got this here, and that was like one of the many legends. I like the way they did it in this kind of like, could it have been this? Then others say he stole it from a temple. Other people, nobody really knows. And it's such a throwaway line. But then, of course, at the end of the film with the after credits, when Wong's kind of analysing them, he's like, they are ridiculously old.
Yeah.
Like, so old. It kind of feels like they slammed into Earth at some point. And that's how Wenwu got them.
Which tells me we need to spend a lot more time analysing stuff in space. There's vibranium up there. There's
exactly.
the 10 rings up there. We are not spending enough time up there. That's what I'm saying.
Well, this stuff slams into the planet. We need to find it.
Well, yeah, that's a fair point, actually, yeah.
I mean...
a little place in Scotland that's just like, don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Someone listening to this podcast right now with 10 rings next to them going, oop. Uh-oh. They're on to me. But yeah, so the origin of the 10 rings I think is going to be an interesting thing. One of the other things I wanted to... I've kind of just written bullet points from the film, so we'll run through them and then obviously you dive in with stuff as well.
Yeah.
The idea behind the Talo village, and I'm probably saying that wrong, Talo, I think is how they said it. Me and you both watched the Marvel Netflix shows. We watched all of them.
Yeah.
Did you feel a certain synergy and a certain similarity between that and the story behind Iron Fist?
Do you know what, actually? I was going to go a slightly different route to you on that one.
Okay.
I was thinking more... Remember Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
Where Skye or Daisy's mum has that village...
Yeah.
And there's all like the gifted people in there, or the Inhumans and stuff there.
Yeah.
That was the vibe I was getting at first.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we've seen this kind of thing before. And then kind of the more it went into it, I can see the Iron Fist kind of links to it as well, the whole protected. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is cool. It's kind of something that we've seen before in the TV shows, but never like this.
Yeah.
And then up stands that absolutely massive lion dog thing.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a weird looking horse.
Yeah, man, tell me that. Watching this film, I've gone from, okay, this is cool. This is fun. This is cool. Action. This is good action. I like the fight scenes. I like the, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I do understand what you're saying about the Iron Fist and stuff, and then like the hidden villages, and it would have been cool just to watch him walk along the background. Like, look at that guy.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been hilarious. Like, and nothing mentioned at all. Just in the background, you see a guy like the yellow mask on, just like walking with his fists glowing.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Where's that guy going? Oh, he's got to look after Kunlun. Yeah,
oh, okay.
That's his job. That's the village up the road.
Yeah, he looks after the neighbour village.
Yeah, man. That I mean, that would have been hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of felt that little bit of similarity, but it wasn't so similar. It felt like they looked at that storyline and went, oh, we'll have that for this. Do you know what I mean? It just felt very similar. And I don't know the comics enough. I don't know Shang-Chi at all. And I didn't know Iron Fist. I don't know Iron Fist beyond the Marvel Netflix show. So for me, it's very difficult for me to go, oh, yeah, it's all linked, you know. There were loads of comics where they were together. But I did get that vibe. So anyone who's watched the two, possibly do that. There is... The village, of course, we see early. Well, we don't see the village early on. We see when we're meeting Ying Li.
Yes, and
there's
they're really cool, weird fight dance they do.
Yeah, they're like the ultimate flirting. By the way, I've seen a lot written about how Disney films, cartoon animated films, have given women very unreal expectations for romance. So, you know, women are always thinking about Prince Charming and stuff like that, and it's all down to Disney as being blamed. I'd like to point out, every time I've started a fight with a woman, we've never ended up married or in love.
Yeah.
This film is misleading. Very, very misleading. When I show up at a village to exterminate it, the hottest woman there does not go, hey, I love you.
Yeah, this is fair. Like, I've not got great experience of decimating villages.
Yeah.
But in the experience I have got, it's never met with that much kind of promise, shall we say?
No, it's never been met with the level of love and affection that clearly comes with being a mass murdering fuckhead for 800 years.
Yeah, and it's like he keeps coming back, and each time he comes back, there's a little bit more romance, and then they live together, and you're like,
a little bit more. It is funny though, because I kind of watched that scene, and you know, like sometimes you get an instant kind of vibe in a scene, like, oh, they're gonna hook up.
Yep.
or like, oh, they hate each other. Yep. It was like the guy rocked up, and I absolutely loved how chilled and how, like, he's got the 10 rings and he's like, well, get out of my way or I'll destroy you. And she's like, if you don't leave, I will have to hurt you.
Yeah.
It's like so cool. And she, like, harnesses her chi, so to speak, like gets ready. He launches this attack and she's just like, nope.
Just like waltzes away, uses like the wind to blow it away. It's like, no.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely awesome. I love that. It just like, there's the yin yang thing, like aggression, but then it's met by calm, like anger is met by peace, all this stuff. I love that. I thought that scene was just beautiful.
These two very much the yin yang, yeah.
Yeah, demonstration. And what I also love was the fact that the idea that they then fell in love. And the idea that he gave up the rings. So it's just this interesting thing that he had them and he went on this conquest of power and he wanted all this stuff. He was on a rampage for like hundreds of years, this guy. And then he meets this woman and it's like, all right, fine, cool. I'll put him in a box. We'll grow old together and die. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, and they have kids, as we all know, Shang-Chi and Shaun. I'm not going to show off that I'm able to say it. And, he's fine. And then his past catches up with him.
Big time.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in that. One, Shang-Chi literally watches his mother get murdered.
Yep.
Can we not have a hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who has not got some sort of tortured background?
I feel like this was more because of the whole Disney buying them thing. This is very much a Disney trait, isn't it?
What, killing off the parents?
Killing a parent off, yeah, This has got serious Bambi and Lion King aspects going on here.
Say, you've got Bambi and Lion King issues.
Yeah, this is Disney being Disney. Brother Bear, I mean, the list goes on. Tangled, Frozen. The list goes on, man. The list goes on.
Straight up murder the family. Yeah. No, I like it. Man,
we need a hero.
Dumbo was bad. The separation with his mother. Oh man, we never even got to know who his father was.
Lilo and Stitch. Even Lilo lives with her sister.
Yeah, it's all messed up, dude.
Disney for you. We need a hero. What can we do? Get rid of the parents?
Definitely. But it's like Origin Story 101. Okay, we need to give them some sort of deep-seated trauma.
Yeah.
So we're going to get Shang-Chi to watch his mother get murdered and then be in a position where he watches his father die as well.
Yeah. That should mess him up just about enough to go on a journey of...
Yeah. As if he didn't have PTSD. I mean, the origin as well, the kind of... I mean, I made this joke watching it, and my daughter glared at me, by the way. Have you ever seen Kung Fu Panda?
Yes.
Right, okay, so his mother dies, and immediately the father gets the rings back, gets revenge, and then sets his son on this path of you will become the ultimate warrior kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's punching this wood, and he's punching it. There's a scene in Kung Fu Panda, one of them, where Tigress says, I punched this wooden tree until I no longer feel pain. So I said, it's like Tigress from Kung Fu Panda, and my daughter shot me a look. Like, how dare you compare the MCU to that?
And that's not even Disney. I can't believe you've done that.
I know. I mean, that's us not getting any more goodies from the Disney Corporation for the podcast.
Damn it.
Yeah. Oh, well. But Kung Fu Panda now are really fond of me.
Yeah.
So DreamWorks. So yeah, it was, I mean, I love that. I love that kind of, we kind of got background, but it was told in a way, like flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's one of my pet hates in cinema when it's overused. But I felt they did it in a really, everything was tied in. Yeah. And also it made sense in the context of when it was used. Like, there's the scene where he's on the plane with Katie, and he's telling her this story, and the story is like, and then this happened, and then they get interrupted by a stewardess on the flight, and it's like literally he's deep in this kind of, and then I was sent to murder. Okay, yeah, we want the pork. So
we haven't got the pork. I have the chicken. We haven't got the chicken. What have you got? Yeah,
the vegetarian option. And she goes, and for you, he's like, yeah, I'll have the only thing that you have. She's like, thank you.
Yeah. I've worked on planes. I feel that woman's pain.
Yeah. I bet there's kind of things you have to do as well.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I need to hear the person say that's what they want, because if they don't say that's what they want, then I can't bring it to them.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
We have a breakfast service. What would you like? The ham and cheese croissant. No, we're out of those. Okay, what have you got?
Speaking of that,
chocolate.
Yeah. Well, I've got a biscuit in my pocket. If you fancy that. I've got a couple of mints in this one. There we go, minty biscuit. Enjoy it, dipshit. Another reason I could not do that job. One of the things we just talked about, that scene on the plane with Katie, is two things. One, it is hilarious to me that Shang Chi changed his name to Shaun, and Katie pointing it out like, wow, how did he ever find you?
Yeah.
That was great. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, Shang to Shaun. Yep, I can see how you got there. Yep.
But you know, me and you talk a lot, when we're talking about the MCU, we talk about casting quite a lot.
Yeah.
And we both agree there's one in a film not that long ago which we didn't agree with, but we're just going to throw that because we've discussed it before.
Yeah.
But generally, like 99% of the time, me and you were like, who the hell? Wow, they were great.
Yeah.
You know, just like that was awesome. What I want to say about this guy, he is both believable as Shaun, the guy in San Francisco, parking cars, really innocuous, kind of, demure in his mannerisms, everything like that. He's completely believable as that guy. You know, you didn't look at him and go, well, clearly he's a fighter. Look at him, he's built. Do you know what I mean? It's like there was no part of whilst he's doing that, you're looking at him going, that's ridiculous. He looks like the friggin' Hulk, man. There's no way this guy's just parking cars for a living. He's just completely believable.
Yeah.
But then, the minute that fight happens and he basically becomes Shang-Chi,
takes the top off and Katie's face is like, what?
That's so funny. It's the way she goes, where's your shirt? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, it's gone.
Yeah, they just took it off me. But yeah, he's completely believable as that guy. Like, the minute he had to have that fight in the bus, that was like, wow, yeah, it's believable. So I think the casting's phenomenal, because that couldn't have been an easy thing to cast someone who could pass as both. You know, look a complete badass, but at the same time, when he's being Shaun, be passable as just a regular guy that fits into the background.
Yeah, and as a character, as an actor, it's someone I'd never heard of before.
No. Did you see... Sorry, just very briefly. Yeah. Did you see that when he was obviously acting a bit hard up, he posed for stock photos? You know, the ones you can buy on the internet?
Oh, yeah.
So he's in loads of those. So when he got the film for Shang-Chi, people started finding him and doing memes for Shang-Chi using him in those photos.
Amazing.
And the guy himself, every time he sees one, retweets it. Like, this is amazing. Sorry, you were going to say, I interrupted you.
So all it was, the person that played Katie,
Yeah.
the actress that played her,
Yeah.
she was in a film that we saw in the cinema with the kids about 2 weeks earlier. She's in the new Disney, Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, yeah,
she plays the Last Dragon.
Yeah.
And we were watching the film, and me and my wife, we were like going through all these actresses' names.
Yeah.
Like, is it played by Whoopi Goldberg? No, it's not her. Is it played by this person? No, it's not them. Got to the end credits, the credit went up and went, I've never heard of her before in my life.
No.
And then literally like 2 or 3 weeks later, we go to see Shang Chi, and we're like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, she's got a very recognisable voice.
Yeah.
But she was great, and I think the thing that made Katie's character in this great is this kind of, when you've got these things going on that are over the top, out of this world, having someone who grounds it.
Yeah, her just there
kind
going,
of,
what?
Yeah, it's great, you know, because her reaction is 90% of other people's reaction of just like, this is mad, this is crazy, what the hell? You know, when he says about smashing the window, right, we're going to go out on these, like, scaffolding, and she's like, no!
No, I'm good. There's stairs.
Are you insane? I'd rather stand here and die.
And you need that character, like...
You do.
In all the films, like Darcy does it in Thor films.
Yeah.
She's the whole, what? No. You know, you need that character in each of them. And she plays the... Would you call it like the sidekick, maybe?
I think sidekick's fair, but just... I mean, it's his best friend. I mean, one of the things that I liked as well, and I don't know whether this changed, but one of the things I liked is they never romanced it at any point. You know, a couple of scenes, they were obviously very emotional and stuff like that, but I think it's important, just from my point of view, it's like male-female friendships that don't have to become a romance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't always need to go that way. You can have relationships with people of the opposite sex and just be close as hell friends.
And it's nice to actually see that sometimes, especially in this one, for example. The romance wasn't needed because I think the romance would have taken the fun side out of it as well.
Yeah. I agree. It would have definitely, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and her kind of the scene where she parks the car early on, and then that kind of tying into her driving when they're trying to make it through the woods maze.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. I just want to quickly talk about that bus scene though. How much did you enjoy that? Because you saw this in the cinema, didn't you? I've only seen it on Disney Plus.
I saw it in IMAX. I paid for the upgrade to the IMAX, and wow.
I was about to say, how good was that?
Yeah, man. Like, it starts off and you kind of think to yourself, okay, fight scene, and then it kind of progresses and you're like, this is mental.
Absolutely mental.
But then there's Katie at the front trying to drive the bus, like, no idea what's going on. Like,
The thing, I think there was a couple of things in it that I had a sort of big smile on my face like a nerd. The first punch he throws, I felt like I was watching a Bruce Lee film.
Yeah.
That kind of, the power, and then he uses his jacket to like wrap someone around, and then he puts it back on again. And I'm like, I've seen Jackie Chan, Jet Li use it. To me, it's like these kind of martial arts films that I grew up on. I'm seeing all of this stuff in this one scene, and I was just grinning, man. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and it was a proper kung fu kind of, I don't know, like 80s and 90s kind of kung fu movie kind of feel behind it.
Yeah, it did. And you know, the whole... I mean, it's a Marvel film. There's all this big stuff. And, of course, you get the Marvel film because the guy's got, like, a missing arm and then he's got this attachment. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, we're still in this. And it's the way Shang's kind of face of, like, really? This is going to be a nightmare. Also, his fighting style. He was trained by his father to basically be a killer, be an assassin.
Yeah.
And yet, he fought completely defensively in that scene. If you think about it, everything he did was like taking their action, you know, using his jacket and to redirecting them. You know, when he hit that punch, it wasn't like to knock the guy out or anything. It was just like, get the hell away from me.
It was a pushback more than anything.
Yeah.
You're right, actually. Yeah, most of his fighting scenes all the way through were he was trained to kill, but the whole way through the film, it's more a case of he's fighting to defend himself, not to hurt the other person. Which I guess is a nice thing, considering that it was his dad that he hated that forced him into that.
Yeah.
To then actually fight the other way is a really nice twist.
It is, and I loved it, because again, that's like Bruce Lee, that's Jackie Chan, and you know, Jet Li did a fair few films where he was very offensive because he played the bad guy in a lot of films. Yeah. But you know, you watch them when they're playing the good guy in any of this, and it is just completely, you know, the way they do it is redirecting the other person, not kind of, you know, going on the offensive. But yeah, I loved it. That scene was enough. Do you know what I mean? That scene could have been the film, you know, and I would have gone away. Yep, awesome film.
Yeah. See, I love the way. Actually, you said about Bruce Lee films.
Yeah.
I Googled. So I came back from the cinema and I did a load of Googling on it because I was just like, this is crazy. One of the original plans for Shang Chi was actually in the 80s to be a TV show.
Oh, okay.
And Stan Lee was going to put Bruce Lee's son in it as Shang-Chi because he had based the character a lot around the movement of Bruce Lee and his fighting skills. So it was actually going to be his son. I can't remember the name of his son. Brandon, that was it.
Lee,
he was going to be the main role.
Do you know what happened to Brandon Lee?
I do not know.
Brandon Lee was starring in a film, the first incarnation of the film, The Crow, and he was shot and killed on set when a live bullet was put in a gun.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that ties into recent events, doesn't it?
Yeah, whoa. Did not know that.
Yeah, it's messed up, man. And what makes it even worse is like there's scenes, they released the film. Blimey. So there are scenes with him in it, and you don't see the scene where he's shot and killed, obviously.
Yeah.
But his character is shot and dies in the film.
Bloody
and
hell.
It happens, yeah, and then someone else sort of takes over. Yeah, it's very
messed up.
Very messed up. It was acceptable in the early 90s, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, the plans for that show fell through.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, my next bullet point is the Wong cameo in the film, and it kind of I got some questions, man.
Why is Wong fighting in an underground fight club against the baddie that it seems like he's training himself?
So that is my question. Okay, is this fight club basically pro wrestling? Is it scripted? Because Wong is fighting, and by the way, that is the Abomination.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer and went, it's the Abomination. When I watched the film, I was like, oh no, it looks different. Yeah. You know, he's got like gills and stuff. Afterwards, no, I looked up, 100% confirmed, that is the Abomination in the MCU.
Yeah.
So the last we knew, the Abomination was locked up on the raft.
Yeah.
So is Wong breaking this guy out, using his power to go fight make some money on the side? Wong, what are you doing? You cannot be that hard up.
That's what I love. I know Wong loves the sandwich and stuff and never pays for them, but surely, as Doctor Strange now finally turned around and went, look, seriously, Wong, buy your own bloody sandwich. Go buy your own sandwich. And he's like, fine. I'll go make my money.
I'm no longer buying you the Hulka fudge or whatever the hell it's called. You've got to sort it out yourself.
Yeah, he's now in a fight club. It was just the fact that you see Wong fighting, and at first I'm like, that's Wong.
It can't be.
It can't be Wong.
Why would Wong be there fighting in a fight? But the other thing, I'm like, oh no, they've captured Wong and they're forcing him to fight. No, they're not.
He's portaling in and out with his opponent.
And he's like training him, going, see, you hit me like that, I hit you back. How are you going to like it? And literally portals his fist to hit himself and knock himself out. I mean, like, dude, why didn't you just portal Thanos' hand away? Are we just going to ignore that?
No, we're not ignoring this. We are not ignoring the fact that Thanos could have been stopped instantly with one portal. We are not ignoring that.
Doctor Strange, go on, Tony, you got to die. Why don't you just portal his hand away? Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, Doctor Strange just wanted Tony dead.
Clearly.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, no. Clearly there's some maniacal Doctor Strange plan afoot. But yeah, seeing Wong was great, and then of course we got the after credit scene with Wong. So Wong in this film is basically tying us into the MCU.
Yes.
In the after credit scene, he's discussing with Shang-Chi and Katie the origin of the rings, and he discusses that there's a signal being sent by them deep into space.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a problem. But
nothing from space has been good when it sends a signal.
No, nothing at all. But we get to kind of like a hologram discussion. We've seen this technology before in Endgame, etc.
Yeah.
But the two people there, first of all, Captain Marvel. We're going to discuss Captain Marvel first. She's got her long hair back.
Yeah, she's growing her hair out.
Okay, so number one, I think she looks better with the long hair. The character-wise, I'm not just being a perv. I think she looks better with the long hair. I like it. Two, do you think that basically confirms the theory that everybody had that she shaved her head in solidarity with Rambo?
I want to say yes.
I
really do.
Yeah, I think it is. I really hope that gets proven.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean. Now, she's there. She has to go. Something happens, and she has to go. So we know we've got the sequel to Captain Marvel coming up. I wonder if that's I wonder if that's kind of linking in. But the other person who's there
confuses the hell out of me.
Which is the one that has me absolutely baffled and puzzled and want to know what's going on.
It's Bruce.
It's Bruce.
Yeah.
Not Professor Hulk.
No, it's Bruce, and I'm like, okay, why are you Bruce? Why are you?
And does that mean you can change back to Bruce?
Because we were led to believe that the last change was the last change, and that was it. He was stuck.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, maybe he's not stuck. Maybe it was just a better life as Hulk.
Mate, baffled. Absolutely baffled. Because we see the Professor Hulk character in a trailer for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So
I know this timeline is jumping around a lot.
Oh, it's painful.
Like,
it is
Phase
painful
4
trying to
is
get my head around
jumping
it.
everywhere. If you include the Disney Plus TV shows as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got, I think you sent me the link to a video on good old TikTok.
I did,
or
yeah, where
a
guy basically with information as well. He's done it, he's evidenced it, and he shows his workings.
Yeah, and it's like Spider-Man is 8 months later, but WandaVision's only 3 weeks later, and
we're talking later after Endgame.
After Endgame, sorry, yeah. And then the next film comes out here, but then Loki is actually set 2012, and then nowhere because time doesn't exist there. And I just sat there, watched that, and my brain went, nope.
Do you think that they are running a massive risk with Phase 4 doing it this way?
Yes.
I
Phases
genuinely
1 to 3
worry.
was nice and straightforward. Apart from, you had the odd couple of them. So Guardians of the Galaxy was technically not a place where they came out. Captain America, you can argue, and Captain Marvel, you can kind of argue, were before everything happened.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean,
in general, they've kind of been A, B, C, D, E, and through. This is like A, Z, Q1. Yeah. I'm like, what is going on?
Do you think it's a deliberate thing because of the multiverse? They're basically now just throwing stuff everywhere to put everything into chaos. Even us as fans.
I think it must be.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
in that case, it's awesome.
Because even like the new Spider-Man trailer that's come out, day of recording, it came out 1 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
But that is actually set a week. By the sounds of it, that is set 1 week after Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
From bits of said, I'm like, so even that's going to jump us backwards and forwards.
But you got to remember that Far From Home again was set after Endgame,
and technically, I think they worked it out as the year 2024.
Yeah.
So it's actually still 3 years in the future. Just to really blow your mind.
Is everybody listening is now completely confused? So let's.
Yeah.
I that is my bullet points for the film because those are like the key things.
You're missing one massive thing.
Well, go for it.
There's fucking dragons.
Is there any need to swear? I just honestly.
You swore earlier. That's why I wasn't going to. You did.
I beeped it up. No. I'll beep it out.
You'll beep.
Know.
Okay, I'll do it. There's fucking dragons. I was sat there, and this film is like I'm into the R-rated now. This film is batshit, like absolutely. Yeah. I'm watching this film in the cinema, and I'm like, this is an amazing film, but my God, it's crazy. We've had the fight scenes with Wong. Yeah. We've had these giant lion, bear, dog things. And then an actual dragon.
Riding a water dragon.
And I'm just sat there going, oh man, this gone crazy. Crazy.
But it's one of those things where sometimes that can really kick you out of the film. Like sometimes it's like, no, that jumped the shark or jumped the dragon. You know, it's like, but with this, I was so into it. I was like, yeah, I'm on the ride. I'm on the roller coaster. Bring it on. You want to give me dragons? I will love. Yeah, bring it on.
Like So I've watched the film twice. I've watched it once at the cinema and then once on Disney Plus. Yeah. And the first time I watched it, hands up honesty, the dragon kicked me out.
Oh, okay.
The dragon, I was just like, that's too much. This is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the cinema. I've got all the build-up, the anticipation, the adrenaline, the excitement. Yeah. Dragon. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is... I was with it up until this point, and the dragon was just a bit like, whoa. We've had a lot of things happen in the MCU. A lot of things have happened, but I've never seen an actual bloody dragon, and I was like, whoa, no, that's too much. That's throwing me a bit.
Nope. Yeah.
I then watched it again. We watched a few different Marvel films in between, and then I watched it again on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Second time round, I was like, okay, dragon's bloody cool.
Yeah,
the dragon's damn cool. You know, if they're going to have those weird flying things that come out of the wall in the first place,
yeah, then you need a dragon.
Then you need a dragon to fight it. That makes obvious sense now. But yeah, first time to second time watching it, I did have very different opinions.
I think it's similar to me. Like the first time I watched Doctor Strange, I was kind of like, nah, this is leaping over the shark in the cinema for me. This is
mental.
Yeah, I'm like, this is weird. You know, we're adding magic now. You know, does it need magic? This is odd. But I watched the film and it all ties in, and it's kind of like, well, you know, I'm fine with there being a Norse god who can summon lightning. Why am I struggling with the idea that the guy can summon? You know, so it's kind of like, okay, all right, I'm on board. Yeah, we're fine.
That was pretty much my thing, actually, because Doctor Strange, funnily enough, was one of the movies I watched in between.
Yeah.
And I think, once you accept things like, we got magic in it. It's Doctor Strange. It's Wong. We have magic. If we have magic, the next, literally, the next obvious step
the mist, is dragon. The mist, and also you're basically, you know, like Thor's Norse mythology.
Yeah,
we're basically now looking at Chinese myths and legends in this, and lo and behold, we're seeing that some of it, the myths and legends, are true, and it's no great surprise, really.
I'm interested to see this dragon appear in New York.
I don't think it does. I think it just stays there in that.
The next big ensemble movie of the next Avengers, and they're like, "There's nothing to defeat them," and Shang's just there going, "I have a dragon."
One of my favourite movies as a kid in the 80s was Neverending Story.
Yeah,
and there's quite a famous scene of them riding this creature. And when Shang Chi was riding the dragon, I literally just went, Atreyu! And again, my daughter shot me this look. It's like, you made me sit through that 80s crap. I know what you're talking about, old man. Now shut up and let me enjoy modern goodness. She gets so cross with me now.
She does not watch films with you anymore. Yeah.
No, she's 13. She's too cool for me now. It's like, oh, Dad, you're so embarrassing. But yeah, man, I loved it. The only thing I wanted to wrap on, is there any other sort of big points you want to discuss before we wrap on the sort of silly thing I wanted to discuss?
No, I think we've covered.
Right. Well, the silly thing I wanted to discuss is Trevor Slattery and Morris. Mate, how much did you... Let me just talk you through what I did with this. I kind of cringed a little that I'm seeing Trevor Slattery again, being the Liverpudlian actor.
Yeah.
It's Sir Ben Kingsley, who's clearly just having fun with this. Like, they gave this to him and he went, yeah, that sounds hilarious, I'll do it.
Yeah. This is his line, calm down, I'm not dead, it's just a performance.
Brilliant. Now...
Play along.
And I suddenly found myself laughing my head off at his scenes. Like... The idea, like, Morris bangs out, they're all freaked out, and he's like, oh, you can see him as well. Brilliant. I thought I was imagining him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, I can understand him. And he's like, take a left here, do this, do this.
Yeah.
He says you might want to speed up.
It was the fact, part of me is like, no, he's just lost the plot. He doesn't understand what he's saying. He's lost the plot. And then the other part of me is like, no, he's genuinely talking to the thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, this is Morris. No, it cracked me up. Absolutely cracked me up. So I just wanted to end on that because I thought Sir Ben Kingsley had a lot of fun in this.
He must have.
I love the fact he stayed in the village at the end, and the battle scene, and then you're looking at everyone looking at, Katie's grabbed the bow, and the guy looks at her and is like, "Don't die." That cracked me up.
Yes.
But then you see Morris stood there like, you see Trevor stood there like, Trevor, what are you doing? Run and hide. What are you doing stood there?
Yeah.
And then you see him let down, you're like, oh no, Trevor. And then he's like, I'm playing dead, mate. And then Morris
get down
lies
and play
on his
along.
back with his feet in the air.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Dear.
And then, the last thing really is that Shailene takes control in the end credit scene, and the 10 rings will return.
Yeah, I mean...
Do we have a new baddie?
It's funny, I turned around to my daughter and I said, oh, she ain't shutting that down.
Yeah.
Her character reintroduced has basically established a underground fight syndicate and crime ring on her own, away from her father.
Yeah, she ain't now going to shut that down. She is making work of that. And it's now like the female army instead of the male army.
Yeah, and they look dangerous, by the way. So it's going to be interesting to see what she does with that. And also it's going to be interesting to see if the 10 Rings, as a kind of, what are they going to be doing? Because obviously at the moment they're like a global assassination hit squad, mercenaries. Are we going to see them show up, in various MCU properties? Or is it just going to be the major plot point for Shang Chi 2? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. I think we're going to see her and possibly the 10 Rings show up in Marvel Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Just little
we'll have to wait
cameo
and see.
bits almost, yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. That's us discussing Shang-Chi. We hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the film as well. Obviously, get in touch with us. You can do so via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the socials. You can drop us an email at either of our names at thestuffandthangspodcast.com. You can go onto our website, leave a comment. You can find this podcast basically loads of places now. You can ask your Alexa device to listen to the Stuff and Things podcast, and it'll play the latest episode. We're on Apple, Amazon Music Podcasts, Spotify. Even got our own YouTube channel where you can listen to the podcast and look at our beautiful logo anytime you want. But mate, that's it. I hope everyone has enjoyed Marvel Monday. I hope everyone's taking care. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back soon.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.